Hey everybody! The idea of three laws from Newton to Asimov has always been very influential. It's time for the three laws of augmented reality design. This is based on my experience with building and reviewing hundreds of AR applications over the past 5 years, and it's meant to provide a tool to evaluate AR experiences and answer the question, does it make sense to develop a particular app using augmented reality? So let's get started. This is me. I'm from this planet. I live in Manhattan, downtown Manhattan, 1 block from ground zero. This is my building, and here is my window. I can see the Hudson from my house, which is very useful, especially when planes land on it. Before 9/11, this was my view. This is after, before, and after. Only a first-person view can evoke this kind of emotion, something that no map or satellite view can ever emulate. And this is why augmented reality will change the way we interact with the world. Augmented reality can be simply defined as overlay of computer graphics on reality, and it's like magic. Everybody loves AR. From Georges Méliès, magician and director credited with inventing special effects in film, in his movie, people come out of a poster. To the incorrigible Marcel Duchamp, who drew a mustache on the Mona Lisa. But augmented reality is so much more. Even Da Vinci knew it. AR will completely change the way humans interact with the world. Humans, on the one hand, are getting smart devices and eyewear and wearables and gesture devices and sensors which augment all our senses, even our brains. And the world, on the other hand, is being augmented with the Internet of Things, cloud and big data, location technology, and even robotics and 3D printing. This convergence is digitizing human interaction with the physical world. And once interaction is digitized, it can be programmed. So how did I get into it? My background is in software. I've worked in tech startups, large corporations, and in 2007, I left to spend time with my kids. So I came home and was looking for them. My wife said they're always in front of a screen, watching TV, reality TV, fantasy TV, going online, hanging out online, ganging up online, probably not here, this is Second Life, playing on a PC, competing on consoles, running on mobile, but here in the real world, not enough. So I thought, on one hand, it's great because they're learning essential skills for the 21st century, but on the other hand, they're missing a lot in reality. Are we all going to look like human blobs from WALL-E? Many parents think so. They tell their kids, you can go online, honey, but don't stay too long. What they really want to say is, get off the screen, get out and play, interact with the real world. But you can't force digital natives to abandon computers and video games. They won't go for anything that you throw at them. That's when I had the spark. I thought, what if we would attract kids and adults to these, and bring it into reality. Call it Reality 2.0, because Reality 1.0 is frankly boring for them. In Everything Bad is Good for You, Stephen Johnson reminds us that since the dawn of man, humans evolved by interacting with their immediate environment. When you look at early humans, they always mess with things. They acquire new skills by playing with stuff. It took us 1,000,000 years of play to get to where we are today. So how did we end up in front of a screen? I guess reality can't compete with this intensity. But I believe that in the future, we'll all look back at this era where people were stuck in front of a screen as something awkward like mullets. It's time to get back to reality. So what power can inspire us to interact with the world again? We are so oblivious to our surroundings. Applications rarely activate our brain to look around, and yet it is in our bones the need to interact with the real world, with people, places, things. Ask Will Wright, the legendary game creator, and he'll say, games should make us more aware of our surroundings. The Wii, Kinect, and Sony Move address the human need to move but are still limited to the TV. So parents want kids off the screen or will look all like this. And even Will Wright says kids should interact more with the environment. So how do we get kids and adults off the screen? How? Well, in 2007, I had no idea. Then I discovered a computer science term. Hidden in labs for more than 10 years, the blue line represents news volume in Google Trends. And it became my new passion. I fell in love with AR, so I started to look for inspiration. Rainbow's End was an ideal place to start. Snow Crash, Halting State, or Eric Lupfer's Augmented Learning. Cartoons such as the Japanese Denu Coil were surprisingly inspiring. Damon and Freedom by Daniel Suarez. And of course I couldn't miss the prophet of augmented reality, Bruce Sterling. And once I got inspired, how do you stay up to speed on the latest developments? There's a bunch of great AR blogs out there. I started mine in 2008, and it became very popular in the AR space, which allowed me to connect with great AR labs and innovative AR companies around the world. The mission became clear: find a way to bring augmented reality to the masses. To enable AR on a large scale, you first need a powerful lens. Is there such a magic lens today? Yep, that will work. When I searched for this lens in labs, this is what I found. Would it work? I don't think so. Anyone voting for this? That's what I thought. I'm sure you'll like this one. A real beauty. Would you walk the street with this? Oh man, or this? Funny, eh? That's much better. Does it come in silver? So these won't work. Wow, this looks awesome, but so far only tested on rabbits. Neat, but only tested in Photoshop. This looks real, though kinda dorky. This is nice, coming real soon, but is there anything ready today? This seems reasonable, until you look in the back. Hey, this looks perfect, everyone has it, right? Oh, it's kinda small and slow. So what now? Back in 2007, this guy introduced the coolest gadget ever, grabbing the world by storm, with amazing growth of apps, gazillion downloads, and the good news, iPhone was not alone. A whole bunch of devices were coming out. So ladies and gentlemen, evolution was winning. We'd never again look at the world in the same way. Lo and behold, AR became hot. So hot, I hear there is a huge interest in important conferences. So in 2009, I co-founded Augmento to bring augmented reality to the masses. Augmento developed a bunch of augmented reality games. But since AR is just a newborn industry, and we didn't want it to end up like virtual reality, which was hyped in the early 90s and then crashed real hard, we co-founded the AR Consortium with 10 AR startups dedicated to advancing augmented reality. This organization helped create critical mass in the AR industry, and it evolved to become augmentedreality.org, a non-for-profit organization which is behind the world's largest AR event, now in its 4th year. Augmented World Expo, the global stage for AR innovation, as well as industry awards such as the Augies, where the best of the best compete for these trophies and cash prizes. And thanks to the community, the event assembled over 100 augmented world demos organized into these 7 pavilions, with over 100 speakers from 125 leading AR companies delivering plenty of AR goodness. Videos from these sessions can be found on YouTube on the augmentedreality.org channel. Our vision is simple: advance augmented reality to advance humanity. We believe one day everyone will use augmented reality to interact with the world in a more meaningful way. When? Our moonshot is to inspire 1 billion active augmented reality users by the end of the decade. That's our vision. What are we doing to achieve that? We do it by educating, connecting, and hatching to help make augmented reality part of every aspect of life and work. And it's already happening today. AR is reinventing every single industry. Take a look at these industries and how they are changing. My favorite is AR pool, playing pool and scoring every single time, even when you're drunk. With AR, you can master skills instantly. Think about it. AR uses our vision and other senses to do things and feel things we couldn't otherwise. It uses our senses to hack the brain, but in a good way. Let me explain with a big word. Synesthesia. When senses cross-wire in your brain, you can taste colors or perceive answers to math problems in your brain. Here's an experiment in artificial synesthesia. Can you find all the number 2s in this picture? How about now? Using this technique, users with wearable augmented reality showed significant improvement in memory and search. Just like with AR pool, follow the augmented line and you'll always hit the ball into the hole. In The Matrix, Trinity downloaded a program into her brain that taught her how to fly a chopper. With AR, you can do just that, minus the plug. Using AR, we can rewire our senses and trick our brain to achieve seemingly superpowers. We may become superhumans sooner than we thought. So what's missing? You, designers, artists, storytellers, producers, business developers. The AR movement needs more dream teams. But you must stay away from the gimmicks and focus on the valuable. Use augmented reality to make a difference. We are at the dawn of a new era where the world is the platform. And that is very different from human-computer interaction, or HCI, which has been studied for over 40 years. It's a new domain that should be thought of as human-world interaction. Which leads me to skeuomorphism, when a new technology retains design cues from an older technology. Sometimes it can help ease the adoption of a new technology. A digital camera shutter that sounds like a conventional camera? That's cool. But dialing numbers on a touchscreen? What's the point? The first movies were shot like theater. This is Trip to the Moon by George Méliès. It took a while until the language of cinema was invented. The cut, the close-up, pan, and the zoom. We are yet to invent the language of AR, the language of digital interaction with the physical world. Lex Ardez summarized it well in his 3 Laws of Augmented Reality Design. Law number 1. Augmentation must emerge from the real world and relate to it. Don't just slap things that are unrelated. Law number 2. Augmentations must not distract from reality, but rather make you more aware of it. If it does distract you, you are getting into virtual reality, which means you are using the wrong technique. Law number 3. Augmented interaction must deliver a superior experience to alternatives, or better yet, there aren't any. Take advantage of the unique spatial interaction of AR, the need to move, look, and interact from different angles. Don't get me wrong, there are many common design rules that still apply. It has to be simple, intuitive, interactive, social, user-generated, cloud-based, tell stories, use mental models, and so on and so forth. But these 3 rules are unique to interactions with the physical world. Want to give it a test ride? Let's take a look at a bunch of examples and see how they stack against these laws. Will they get the thumbs up or the finger of doom? First, a few cult classics. The film segment most associated with AR, Terminator Vision. Lists of numbers and text on the screen? What's the point with that? And I'll never understand why a robot needs information on the screen. But the sizing of clothing is definitely cool and useful. Minority Report, 2001. 11 years later, do we still need these fancy gloves and these screens? Why not just use leap motion or just project in space? And is this sandwich real or virtual? But the gestures here, they make total sense. A little too dramatic, but that's Tom Cruise after all. Okay, glass, a recent example. So I wake up in the morning and what do I see? A freaking menu? Glass gets the finger of doom. But hey, you can't ignore the fact that when Google Glass was announced, it doubled the level of awareness to augmented reality. So thank you, Google. Anyway, back to our review. Meta glasses. It's definitely built right. Let's look at the examples.
with super low latency. We allow full mapping and
I love this. This is the embodiment of interaction with the physical world.
reality, not just pop-ups in the corner of your eye. We stick 3D data.
But Facebook Pages on Windows is a little distracting.
Best of all, you can pick these pieces up and hack them with your hands. Meta has the technology to make
Bubbles are cool, but I can do this in VR too, right? Meta still gets the thumbs up. Let's look at some projection mapping examples. Projection mapping on buildings has become pretty popular in launch events, like this one for Hyundai Accent launch. It's cool, especially when the real car shows up. But how different is that from watching a movie on a giant screen? Here's another projection mapping that shows the potential, at least for fun, by Sony. RTT projection on a sneaker, which demonstrates a useful aspect of projection. And here is an amazing example. Sandbox from Oliver Kralos, UC Davis University in California. Super intuitive, any kid can play with sand, and here they can immediately get feedback with graphics appearing and showing the topographical lines, the colors matching height, and the coolest part, when water flows in your own creation. Big thumbs up. Okay, switching technique to magic mirror or virtual mirror. National Geographic installation at malls and airports became very famous. And it looks awesome in the video. But because the virtual content can only be seen up on the screen and not next to you, not in your own line of sight, it's probably good for a gimmick, but not as a lasting experience for the users. At the end of the day, it's not superior to existing experiences, unless you want to take a photo of the dinosaur with yourself, where it becomes pretty useful. Another example, Book of Spells with Sony PlayStation, Sony Move, and the eye camera. Once again, the problem is that the virtual content is not in your line of sight. You look up on the screen, but the dragon is right here below. However, using gestures to put out the fires, I think, was very clever. You have all seen the Lego digital box by Metaio, a great example of using AR for retail to show what's inside the box. It works even though the virtual content is on the screen and not on the box. Try on glasses by Total Immersion. This is where virtual mirror shines, because we are used to trying glasses on a mirror anyway. Same for dressing rooms. Or the Barbie makeup toy for young girls. Put on makeup without all the mess. Gertz try on sneakers using 3 Kinect cameras for a perfect overlay of new shoes on your feet. These shoes, by the way, are virtual. Switching to smartphones and handhelds. Let's start with some brand engagement. AR can truly make brand engagement more engaging. Here's an example by Orasma, overlaying a video on a magazine page. Orasma made it really simple to overlay videos on images, which was cool, but also created a problem where people just slapped videos on unrelated images. The video here kind of relate to the image, but isn't it better to watch the video on a full screen? We have to leave behind these old paradigms. IKEA catalog. It enjoyed amazing distribution and exposure to augmented reality on magazine, but I think it somewhat missed the opportunity. Can't I have these experiences directly on my iPad with no paper magazine at all? Mitsubishi Electric using AR as a sales tool in a really simple but powerful scenario. They use a marker to visualize the AC unit on the wall. And there's no other way to visualize this to somebody that is trying to figure out where to position this AC unit. It's a great solution, and it helps increase sales by $30 million for Mitsubishi. PowerWorks took a very different approach. They augment static images. It's definitely more stable and robust than augmenting live video, but is it a good replacement for real-time AR? I don't really know, but users will tell. Okay, this one is one of the coolest examples of virtual interacting with the real. It's called Dos Equis Ring Toss, created by Augmented. Here's a wobbly Mountain Dew by the Obvious Engine. Use effects that emerge from reality, which is much more powerful than slapping graphics on the real world. Check out this Mountain Dew combination lock by Augmented. It's a super intuitive way to engage with the brand. You actually feel like you are interacting with the bottle itself. Another of my projects created for Pepsi Max. See the virtual button on the bottle? Tap it, and it becomes a beatbox. Record your sound and feel the label blow up based on your voice. You can even scratch the label like a DJ, or stretch it to lower the pitch. Then you can swipe and add another bottle to record another track. The brand becomes the tool to create fun. Here's a really cool campaign from Aussieland for McDonald's.
How real our food is. So we want you to take a closer look at where some of our ingredients are grown, fished or farmed, and find out what happens to them on their way to you. Track My Macca's is a free iPhone app that lets you discover more about some of your McDonald's favourites. And for the first time ever, track ingredients in the actual food you just bought. So how does it do that? Simple, sort of. Using the phone's GPS, it can tell which restaurant you're in. Using image recognition software, it knows what you're about to eat. And by combining this with a date and time, it accesses McDonald's vast and comprehensive supply chain in real time. The app gets tracking in an instant, pinpointing where the ingredients in the food you're about to eat came from. And that's where the fun really starts. Cutting-edge 3D augmented reality brings the data to life.
So look at some games. Zombie game from Georgia Tech.
Okay, so we find ourselves in a helicopter over the city. And here come the zombies. See the crosshairs in the center of the screen? We target by moving the device until it's over a zombie. Tap anywhere on the screen to shoot, and there, got one. Shoot carefully, because if you miss, the zombies will start throwing things at you. They'll continue to throw things at you until you move far enough away. This isn't a game that you play sitting down. It's meant to be dynamic. You need to keep moving to kill the zombies and to avoid the objects thrown at you. So shooting zombies is fun, but we need a bit more purpose in life. That's where the civilians come in. There's a portal in the middle of the board that acts as a safe zone. The civilians will try to get to the portal to get out. Protect the civilians by killing all the zombies in their path. If the number of zombies becomes overwhelming, you can always grab a bag of Skittles and use them as bombs. Place a Skittle on the map and shoot it to activate a bomb. Orange Skittles act like proximity bombs. Shoot to arm the bomb, then wait for a zombie to come by and set it off.
Laser tag game proposed to Hasbro. The part where the spider goes on my wall is priceless. Bugs Mayhem by Augmented Pixels are no markers, only based on movement, which by definition cannot be accurately registered to the real world and will always look floaty. But shooting bugs is better than shooting at stationary objects that float, because bugs float anyway. But it has nothing to do with your environment. Is it really a superior experience than shooting in a virtual world? Star Wars game by Vertigo was one of the most successful AR games on the App Store, because it's simply a cool game, and it's Star Wars. It looks awesome on the New York skyline. But in your room, is it different? A fully virtual game? The Dollhouse by Ellen Papagiannis. Look at it through the camera and it comes to life. The clock moving, the fire burning, the monster appears below the rug. This experience can only be achieved with augmented reality. Awesome. AR Pirates from Optrix. It tracks 3 circles, like coins or this contraption that you can throw in a river. And you have a cannon to shoot at pirate ships. Has some issue with tracking and graphics, but seeing the ship drown in a real canal, that's priceless. Here's an example from Visionaries 77, Warp Runner. It tracks off a card, and you can warp the real surface to solve puzzles. That's what AR is meant to do. Thumbs up. Deco Monkey promises an amazing experience because it truly interacts with the world. The monkey can hide behind objects in the real world and jump on it and completely interact with it. But the tech has some way to go to be easy to initiate and fast enough to track. Bubble Count Prototype by Augmento. All you have to do is look for circles in the real world. The game will identify those circles and help you count. You can see that the circles are completely captured in the game, so you can see the circles that you captured. What's really special about this game when we tested it with kids is that they spend most of the time looking around and not looking at their phone. The phone is only a tool to grab the circles. It's probably the first video game ever where you spend most of your time looking at your surroundings. Another prototype by Augmento called Hide and Seek. You hide virtual objects on the real world, and then your counterpart has to find those virtual objects using a cue that shows where the virtual object was hidden. Okay, let's look at a couple of AR utility apps that make a lot of sense. WordLens, translating in context. Star Tracker, watching and learning about stars. There's really no alternative to have this kind of experience and learn about stars. Okay, here are some examples from automotive. So what do you think about this AR HUD? This is so distracting and dangerous. Mercedes created an intuitive windshield concept video. It's much slicker, but still pretty distracting, even for a passenger. Why not overlay the information on the real world? Otherwise, you can just show it on a regular screen without any augmentation. MVS Guidewire is a great example of unobtrusive guidance for the driver. It's light, intuitive, non-distracting. Give it a thumbs up. Finally, an example for inspiration. Augmented faces. The AR content relates to the real world and most importantly can be generated by the users. That's where AR for the masses can really take off.
Some of you for joining us, but only some, because some of you are not welcome at all.
Oh, this is so scary.
That's it. Use these laws to evaluate your AR experiences. And if you comply with the 3 laws, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, and one day we'll all get people off the screen and everyone will use augmented reality to interact with the world in a more meaningful way. And that day could be today. Thank you.